Inevitably, we're going to have to wait quite a while to see what the Fantastic Four and the X-Men are going to look like in the MCU. Now, when it comes to what their backstory is, we do have a few details of what we can expect and what we should not expect. Now, some brand new reports are claiming that we can look to some familiar comics for inspiration. So this latest report comes from Roger Wardle. Now, people have looked at his reports before, and there's been plenty of times he was spot on, and there's been some times where he was off. So again, you have to take everything I'm saying right now that he's reporting on with a grain of salt. Now, obviously, things could always change, things are always changing, and we already know a few details about what we should and should not expect. First and foremost, do not expect the X-Men to be like what we've gotten before in the films. Kevin Feige straight up said, we're going to do something completely different with them. So again, that's sort of something to go on, right? It's better than nothing. Now, his report goes on and says that the MCU's Fantastic Four and the X-Men will be primarily based on their 1610 counterparts, meaning the Ultimates, but they are not going to be using Ultimatum as any sort of basis. Now, obviously, Ultimatum, I think, would be out of the question anyway, because that's a sort of endgame point, because that's a pretty big shattering event. But the whole Ultimates things sort of make sense to me. I mean, let's say if you're looking at the Ultimates for inspiration, that means the X-Men, for example, are not a natural mutation. There's a whole complex backstory of how they get there, and how it's connected to the mutants themselves and the bigger Marvel universe. So again, this could really work to their advantage. On the Fantastic Four side of things, it's the same type of scenario. You're going younger then, which obviously gives you way more room to be able to make these characters last for decades. And not only that, it also gives you more younger characters to be able to play around in that field without having to worry about them aging too much, or things falling to the wayside quicker if the sequels take longer to develop, like we've seen with some MCU properties taking forever to get to sequels. And the Ultimates is probably a good basis. I mean, plenty of the MCU has already started borrowing and been borrowing from the beginning from the Ultimates, from little pieces of Iron Man 1 to obviously Iron Man 2, and then the Avengers and all that, and Captain America, the first Avenger. Like, it's been all over the place, and it's really not surprising. I mean, at one point, the Ultimate Universe was looked at as like the ultimate, go-to for Marvel. Everybody was like, no, you just don't read the main stuff. Go read the Ultimates. Of course, that all fell apart with Ultimatum, but that's a completely different thing.